All right, guys, so I stumbled across this very fascinating interview on CNN between Don Lemon and his chocolate / extremely dark skinned counterpart, Candace McDuffie, who I believe is a she/her. Okay, now I don't know, okay, but I don't want to misgender people. However, I'm going to assume, based off what I can find, again, I got questions, that this person goes by the pronouns she/her. Okay, again, the worst thing you can do to a person is misgender them. Okay, so I got to give a disclaimer from the beginning of this video that, hey, you know, I got questions and I apologize if I happen to misgender this person. It is not my intention to do that, right? If you guys catch my drift. But anyways, they're having a conversation about Chris Rock and his new stand-up comedy special on Netflix, in which he slaps back at Will Smith for slapping him on the world stage at the Oscars last year after Chris Rock made a joke about his wife. Now, you would think that most reasonable people would agree with Chris Rock and some of the things he's saying about Will Smith, or put it this way, they wouldn't be upset that Chris Rock is getting his revenge, and they probably would agree with most of the things that Chris Rock said during this stand-up comedy special. Like, you know, for example, Charlamagne the God agreeing with Chris Rock in regards to his assessment of the fake racism claims from Meghan Markle against the royal family.
Now, people were mad about the Meghan Markle thing that you just mentioned. Why? Everything you said was accurate.
Meghan Markle, some of that she went through was not racism. It was just some in-law No, they're so racist. They wanted to know how brown the baby was gonna be. That's not racist, because even black people want to know how brown the baby gonna be. We check behind them ears. That's a scientific test, because you got to see what kind of black child you gonna get. Is this a Steph Curry baby or a Draymond Green baby?
Yeah, that segment is hilarious, right? He's 100% right about the whole black people being concerned about the skin color of babies thing, because that's actually really a thing, right? It's actually a thing. Like, black people do when a baby's born, it's like, okay, how dark is it gonna be, right? Or how light is it gonna be? That is actual real conversation that happens. But again, what he's saying there is something I think most people can at very least laugh at, you know, if they can't necessarily agree with it. But I think it's very agreeable. However, there are some people like this person right here, Candace McDuffie, that did not like Chris Rock's stand-up special. In fact, she's going as far as to basically say that Chris Rock deserved to be slapped by Will Smith because he makes jokes about black women, right? And she doesn't like that. Apparently, you're not supposed to be able to make jokes about black women. Black women are off limits. Does this sound familiar to what we've seen before in the past from the woke activists in regards to the transgender activists protesting against Netflix and Dave Chappelle making jokes about the trans community? So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll this clip, because I want you guys to hear this person's logic behind why you can't make jokes about black women.
It was a larger push, though, because black actors weren't being nominated. But critics also blasted Rock for making black people the butt of his jokes to appeal to a white audience. And our next guest writes that Rock, quote, deserved to be slapped. So joining us now is the senior writer at The Root, Candace McDuffie. Good morning to you. Why did you think he deserved to be slapped?
It's not so much about being slapped as much as it is about accountability, right? He has made black women specifically the butt of his jokes for years, and he's finally being held accountable. So I feel like this kind of sets the precedence, you know, going forward, hopefully, that people will be more careful about how they treat and discuss, you know, black women.
Wow. Wow. What this person is saying is that Chris Rock deserves to be slapped for making jokes. He's a comedian, by the way, right? That's his job. His job is to make jokes about black women. Absolutely incredible. Maybe Candace deserves to be slapped for making that statement, for making that claim that a comedian deserves to be slapped, or an act of violence should happen against a comedian because they're doing their job. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
You know, people are going to focus on your words saying, you know, is Candace McDuffie condoning violence, saying that, you know, that Will Smith should have slapped Chris Rock?
Yeah, absolutely. She's condoning violence, because this is what the leftists, this is what they love. They love violence. Again, this is how it goes. I have to say this because it's so true. there's steps to this, okay? What happens is that first they accuse you of some type of bigotry, racism, homophobia, transphobia, whatever, right? And then they try to cancel you, okay? And they say, well, if you don't stop what you're doing, then you're harming us, okay? You're causing us real world harm. We might delete ourselves, right? This is what they say. And then the third step, if that doesn't work, is for them to actually resort to violence, right? Happens every single time. It doesn't matter if we're talking about the LGBTQ stuff, if we're talking about race, if we're talking about, sex or whatever. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. That is the steps of the woke revolution, right? It always eventually leads to violence, okay? Again, the woke revolutionaries in this country are some of the most violent people. They've committed the most acts of political violence in this country that we've seen probably in the history of this country, okay? And that's not an exaggeration. It's really not. The BLM riots / Antifa riots were the most expensive in history. We've never seen anything like it. It started with, the police are racist. And then it started with, you have to defund the police, abolish the police. The police are causing us real world harm, okay? And then it resulted to, we need to riot in the streets. We're going to commit violence.
I think, in the literal sense, it seems like a bit much. But honestly, sitting here, calling Jada out of her name, making fun of her hair condition, talking about her alopecia, words can be violent as well.
Words cannot be violent, right? Words are not violent. I'm not saying that words don't mean things, but words in and of themselves are not violent. The idea that words are violent is a part of the tactic from the left to silence people who simply disagree with them, okay? Everything that they disagree with is harmful. Because apparently we have the softest society in history, right? It's truly insanity. It really is.
And as we've seen, Black girls and women, we suffer abuse at higher rates in this country. So continuing to humiliate us only perpetuates this.
Oh, boo-hoo. Black girls and Black women suffer the highest rates of abuse. Oh my God, we're so victimized. Again, what is the difference between what you're saying and what the trans community is saying, right? They're saying the same thing, okay? They allege that, hey, we're being murdered all over the place. But if you go and you check the facts and statistics, less than, about 40 or so, right? About 40 or so transgender people are murdered per year. Again, terrible thing, okay? When anybody loses their life, terrible. But let's not sit here and act like there's an epidemic of violence being done against Black women or transgender women because of words. That's just not happening. That is made up. That is false. That's not true. And I'm sick and tired of these people saying this with no pushback. Don Lemon, as a journalist, should be pushing back and saying, do you really believe that words are causing Black women to be harmed? Like, do you think jokes are leading to Black women being harmed in real life? What evidence do you have that jokes are leading to that? He should be pushing back instead of just letting this person just spew all this nonsense that really is just advocating for censorship. She doesn't want comedians to be able to make jokes about Black women at all, because Black women apparently are supposed to be a special class. Again, this doesn't just apply to Black women. What I'm saying applies to all these people who want special rights and privileges. We can't be judged. We can't be criticized. You can't even make jokes about us. But again, I guarantee you, if it was a crowd full of Black people and they make jokes about whites, that's fair game. That's fair game. That's totally fine. That's totally cool. Okay? But if it's the other way around, oh my God, I'm so upset, right? I'm so upset. I'm so mad.
A lot of people laugh, though, when they hear the jokes and they say he's a comedian, he's just being funny. Maybe you're being too sensitive about it. What do you say?
She is being too sensitive about it. Don, he knows how ridiculous this is. Okay, Base Don knows how ridiculous this is. Okay, he knows. But see, if this was a Trump supporter or somebody on the right, he wouldn't phrase it as, well, critics say blah, blah, blah. He would just come out and say, well, I believe, right? You're being too sensitive. You're being too soft, okay? Grow some cojones. That is what he would say if it was a Trump supporter. Base Don, this is when you need to, again, grow a set and call this woman out for this overt censorship. But, Base Don, he walking on eggshells because he's about to lose his job at CNN.
I think it speaks to a larger American pattern of using marginalized people as comedic fodder. And then it can also, lead to violence being incited. It can lead to us being not seen as human.
Okay, what is your evidence to that? Right, that all sounds great. What is your evidence? Is anybody that claims to be marginalized supposed to just have immunity from being criticized or having jokes being made about them? Is that how this is supposed to work?
Words and comedy have larger consequences, as we've seen in recent years.
Yeah. A black woman comedian, as you know Leslie Jones, calling out what she calls, and I quote, hypocrites who are attacking Chris Rock, she says, for sharing his perspective on what happened. And another quote, he is a comedian. This is his way of expressing it. If he's saying he would write a song, because it's painful, it's a painful thing that happened. What do you say to Leslie Jones?
What we saw on that stage wasn't comedy. It was comedy, but it was really pain. He hasn't healed from what's happened. And instead of kind of dealing with those emotions and those feelings, he's just taking it out and continues to take his rage and go out on black women.
He's taking his rage out on black women. You would think that if you didn't know who Chris Rock was, okay, you didn't know his skin color, that he was some type of white supremacist. That he was some type of flaming racist, but who knows? I've seen the wokes accuse Chris Rock of racism towards black women. So I don't know, man. Maybe that's what's going on here. Okay, maybe she thinks Chris Rock is a racist or a sexist.
At the end of his special, he addresses why he didn't retaliate when he got slapped. Watch this.
And you know what my parents taught me? Don't fight in front of white people.
Does that joke bother you?
So much. You're telling me that black people can't fight in front of white people, but you can humiliate black people in front of white people. There was recently a clip that resurfaced of him with Jerry Seinfeld and Ricky Gervais and Louis C.K., where he gave Louis C.K. the pass to say the N-word. How is that okay? Right? But we have to act a certain way, but it doesn't apply to him.
Candace McDuffie, I'm so glad you could join us this morning. Thank you very much.
She's so triggered.
Thank you so much for having me.
She's so triggered by this, bro. This is where we're at in society, bro. Ban comedy, right? Ban comedy, ban jokes against black women, against trans people, against gay people, against anybody that's not white, right? Against women, okay? The only people you can make jokes about are straight white males, okay? That's it. Everybody else, nope, can't do it, right? Absolutely amazing stuff. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.